The 45-foot range, meaning the 44 and 46 boats, is the most in-demand option on the market. And when it comes to this range, the Dufour 44 is considered a top pick. And it holds a prestigious position because it has been a highly sought-after boat at the recent fall boat shows. There were often long lines of people eagerly waiting to see this boat. And it's exactly for the purpose of discussing the Dufour 44 that we traveled here to Punta Ala to meet Giovanni Tarantino from Nautica. They are the Dufour importers for central Italy, and with him, I'll have a discussion to really get a thorough understanding and clear insight into what this boat is all about. And also the other boats that are actively and directly competing with it. Let's go aboard the Dufour 44. Once again, to talk about the Dufour, we came here right in front of the Sparviero Island because this landscape is absolutely one of a kind. To my right, there's the Marina di Punta Ala, which I think is one of the most beautiful marinas. As I mentioned earlier in the introduction, we're over here in Italy with Giovanni Tarantino from Nautica. They are known to be the foremost Dufour dealers in all of Europe, known for selling the highest number of boats overall. And you definitely know Giovanni as Mr. Confirm because he consistently has this enduring habit of always responding with "I confirm" every time I criticize him, which always catches me off guard. Typically, when you criticize someone, you anticipate a different reaction, but he just simply confirms. So, Mr. Confirm, let's get started with the first point. We're on yes and no, so you need to give me 5 points, and then I'll give you the exact same points on all of the competing boats of the Dufour 44 series. What do you want to talk about as the first point?
First of all, good morning. I just want to genuinely thank you for finally making the effort to come back and join us here in Punta Ala. We're currently on the new 44 model that we had previously looked at in Dusseldorf.
And also in Genoa and Cannes.
Yes, in Cannes and Genoa as well. So let's go ahead and start looking at this new boat. The entire structure is completely new, beginning with the beam, which is a generous 4.45 meters wide. And as the first point, I would emphasize the deck equipment because for a cruising boat that is specifically designed for comfortable cruising, anyone who is still keen on making adjustments and wants to achieve performance nearly on par with a racing boat has at their disposal 6 winches, easily adjustable tracks directly from the cockpit, and also some really top-notch, exceptionally high-performance sails.
In competition with this boat, there is another boat that pays a great deal of attention to performance and is a notably fast boat. It's without a doubt the Sun Odyssey 440.
I confirm that it's indeed a boat that competes with ours. However, I would say it's more in competition with our 41 model because our 41 has spaces very similar to the 44 with also a maximum beam of 4.30 meters. Even the YES&NO Sun Odyssey 440, known for its size, is just a bit narrower.
In fact, it's like this. Consider that the Sun Odyssey 440 has a beam of 4.29 meters compared to this one, which is 4.45 meters, but more importantly, it measures 12.64 meters at the hull compared to this one, which is 13.10 meters. So Giovanni isn't entirely wrong. The boat might indeed be closer to the Dufour 41 when you actually compare it to the Dufour 44. So,
honestly, I'd be more interested in looking at a competitor like the Beneteau 46 instead of focusing on the...
But the Beneteau 46 isn't primarily focused on speed as its utmost priority. Instead, it's actually about comfort, which in my opinion excels in certain aspects. It has larger volumes than this one. What can I say? The forward cabin of the Beneteau Oceanis 461 is bigger than this because the design extends the hull side smoothly to the bow.
We also have it here. We've seen this particular feature on other Dufour models, and I've already shown it to you on the 530 and 470. Additionally, we have this slightly softer edge as well, enhancing comfort and performance. There's also an elbow that consistently leans against the boat when it's beating, maintaining that position and creating large volumes.
To be honest, there's really nothing else to mention. I've taken a look at this cabin, and it's still a pretty big cabin. So much so that you can split it in half and make 2, right?
Make 2 cabins, each with its own bathroom.
Because as you can see, this cabin here actually has a full bathroom, including a toilet. And there's another area in the owner's version that's all about the shower, and it's a really great shower. That space over there in the 4-cabin version actually becomes the 4th bathroom. No, the 3rd bathroom.
The 3rd or the 4th bathroom?
The 3rd or the 4th bathroom,
yes,
because
absolutely.
I can have a version with 3 or 4 bathrooms. Perfect, great. And you stole another point from me because you made me talk about the Oceanis 46. So now let's move on to the 3rd point.
The 3rd point, which is now considered our flagship feature, and is both the mainsail and a low boom, which helps in maintaining an excellent center of gravity. So, there's this practical passageway that conveniently runs between the biminis, considering we have two, one situated in the helm area,
well, that
and
really
the other
seems like a
thoughtfully
strong
positioned
point
in the
in your
guest area.
favor, if you ask me.
I have to say that many clients choose Dufour because of the convenience of walking on the exceptionally wide side deck, and also going down without having to perform too many gymnastics and acrobatics is really quite useful, even when the seas are rough.
For sure, Giovanni is definitely right, because when you look at the competition, meaning the other boats, have these really nice bimini tops, but all of them completely cover the entire cockpit starting from the helm, and when you take a step forward to make your way down into the cockpit and head to the guest area or the main helm station, it's definitely more difficult because you have to dock. Instead, what did they do? They made, as you can see in the images, there's a canopy in the helm area and another canopy in the seating area, which is commonly known as the guest area. There's a small space between the two and a noticeable step down. You can simply walk between the two canopies without having to duck at all. And there's a step down into the cockpit, making it very comfortable. However, to give an example, going back to the Sun Odyssey 44, they actually have a ramp that extends outside of the canopy and leads you with extreme comfort to the cockpit area.
Well, I guess we've already talked about this topic.
I know, but again, there's this objection.
Remember, there was another time when I explained how that specific system leads to having the aft cabins situated much lower and with even less volume in the aft cabins. And then, in my personal opinion, during rough sea conditions, the water tends to slide into the cockpit, frequently resulting in both the cockpit and the helm becoming quite wet and slippery. This, however, is one of mine.
Yes, indeed, I remember now, you're right.
I've already
that's
discussed
correct.
it elsewhere.
We previously discussed it in another
I've already discussed
episode.
it elsewhere. I've already responded to you. Okay?
All right, I see you're very prepared anyway.
It's been a few months since you were here last, so I'm just trying to have more. And that's not everything. I'm here waiting for you at the next few points inside, because over there
Yes,
I'm really
sure.
well prepared there.
Right now, I would go see the inside.
Because just like those tutoring sessions we did back in September, it's been months since you last came around and you delayed me until September, so we'll try to make it happen then. More
All right.
and more.
Come on, let's head down below deck. Just follow us. Point number 4, the interiors, and I have a feeling you're going to tell me more than one thing. Am I wrong?
I confirm.
You confirm, all right? Let's start with the first thing.
From this original kitchen where you have the sink, and on the opposite side you find the fridge along with the stove.
This is a classic Dufour layout, similar to what they initially introduced on the earlier 500 or 510 models. It was designed by Umberto Felci. A beautiful thing. If I'm being honest, I really prefer a kitchen that's similar to the one on the Oceanis 461, that stretches from the bathroom to the bulkhead, with everything built in. It's incredibly massive. It's really very comfortable. So what do you think?
I totally agree that it can be really comfortable, and for an extra €1,000, you have the option to get the entire kitchen setup you see here.
Extending from bulkhead to bulkhead.
We have the whole kitchen.
And that's exactly what we're looking at in the image.
As you can see, you have the option to have interiors in teak like these, or you could go for lighter interiors.
These are the darker ones, and then there's the standard
These are the standard
version.
ones in teak, otherwise we have the oak ones for an extra charge.
That's great, perfect. So with the kitchen, you more or less have the option to provide me with additional comfort if I don't prefer this type of kitchen. And what else did you want to tell me?
I wanted to mention that the boat, just like we discussed in Dusseldorf and much like the 41, comes equipped with the area on the left as you go down, which is a shower compartment and is part of the boat's standard configuration. Alternatively, we can also have a version with a full bathroom. And there's something new. Well, which is the little treat I was eagerly waiting to unwrap, which is something that some people have criticized us for, that we no longer have a real chart table. Although, in my opinion, nowadays you do it on the laptop on the table, but...
So, for example, you know it's the usual kind of setup. The Sun Odyssey 440 has proper traditional chart table, just like the chart tables they used to have back in the day.
And we actually even have an office where there's a chart table.
Where do you have it?
We've got it located at the stern, right when you enter. We've replaced the bathroom and shower area with a full-fledged office, so it stretches out even more than before.
That's really impressive.
The interior has been completely changed. There is no longer this partition, and as you can clearly see for yourself, there is the possibility to have a dedicated seating area with a small table and a proper chart table.
So even when I'm just sitting there, I can still see everything around me. I'm open. That's also a nice solution.
So finding a boat where we have the option of choosing either a transverse kitchen or a longitudinal kitchen, and we can choose to have it equipped with a shower and another separate full bathroom with a shower. There are options for 2 aft bathrooms or even a large chart table, a spacious, large office that can also be comfortably used in winter.
You say it's a very versatile boat, and
yes,
it adapts very well to the various requirements.
Absolutely.
Listen, one last thing I want to ask you, because it has always left me feeling like this hexagonal table. What do you think?
You know, we really should consult with our architect, Luca Ardizio, regarding this hexagonal table, considering he's the one who designed the interiors. I must say it's very popular because it allows more people to sit comfortably, and then the 3 poofs can easily be arranged or flexibly moved around as needed. And then the 3 poofs can also be positioned all together. In this spot, they fit into each other, and what we end up with is another sofa and a chaise lounge on the other side.
I understand. I have to say it's really unique, but I'm having a hard time imagining how it would be used while on a summer vacation. But it's definitely original, and it gives me a little bit more space in the dinette because it's not the classic long table.
To move around, it remains a comfortable table, and you can also choose a version that cleverly lowers to easily transform into a cozy bed.
A bed. All right. Having said that, instead let's go outside. We head out to the ocean, raise the sails, test the boat, and then you can give me your final thoughts.
Perfect. You're welcome.
Let's go! Point number 5. So we went out and raised the sails. There's a little bit of wind, not much, let's say, and you were waiting for this to talk to me about what exactly?
Consider how we can sail a boat that, let's remember, is specifically designed for cruising and targeted towards a dedicated cruising audience. Even owners who seek a bit more fun and frequently smile genuinely often find success. When you have a Dufour in the lineup, with its superior equipment, they manage to enjoy themselves and truly excel in sailing performance.
Yes, it's true. The boat goes really well. There's little wind, yet the boat is moving along very well. You consider that cruising boats like these generally aren't equipped with large sail plans. They usually come with quite limited sail plans to ensure safety and to make sure there's no excessive effort involved, and the fact that the boats can be operated by just a few people or even single-handedly. But when there's little wind, they suffer precisely because they don't have sail area, but when the wind begins to really pick up speed, as the wind picks up, the sail area becomes more proportionate, and that's when the boat starts to perform at its best. Right now we've got around 5 knots, maybe 5.5 knots of actual wind, but the boat is cruising along pretty nicely. We're moving at approximately 4 knots or possibly 4.5 knots. So basically, it's a speed that's just right for a cruising boat. We could say it's absolutely perfect. But there are also other boats that behave exactly like this. What can I tell you? Recently I tried the Allen E6, and it sails beautifully and effortlessly.
I have no doubt about it, but it is also significantly much longer. So
yeah, it's actually a larger
boat. We really must
boat.
compare the speed to the overall length of the boat as well, wouldn't you agree?
Certainly.
You need to make a comparison with boats that are the same length as the one I have.
All right, the Oceanis 461, which unfortunately, as we pointed out before, this isn't exactly a boat that's designed for pure speed, so it's not a racing boat.
They have a much larger hull, so there's a significantly greater amount of wetted surface. Felci somehow still manages to expertly craft those narrower waterlines, which means with a nice single rudder, we can steer really well.
He sells Dufour, but honestly, it's not Felci who manages that part. Felci decided on narrow hulls because they provide advantages. With a narrow hull, you can control the boat more effectively, resulting in much smoother handling when navigating the sea, and reduces leeway significantly. And especially to have just the single rudder. Umberto prefers all boats to have a single rudder, and he designs hulls that can accommodate it, only one component of the rudder. On the other hand, the Oceanis 461, interestingly enough, is a boat that does exactly the opposite. It's actually a boat with a hull that necessarily needs to be wider and flatter, which requires two small rudders to effectively steer it because the central rudder, when the boat tilts a lot, the central rudder doesn't function anymore, so it has two smaller rudders to steer it. And you know that boat? Having a flat hull usually tends to drift a bit more than this particular one does. Interestingly, the Oceanis 461 has a lower freeboard, and the main reason for that is its overall hull design. Since it features a hull that's wide, their overall volumes are much lower. This one with a narrower hull design needs to rise a bit more to gain additional volume, so the freeboard also needs to rise slightly, just a little. These are different choices. I want to make a point as well because
I understand what
honestly
you're getting
speaking,
at,
you know,
and those factors cannot be overlooked. Otherwise, it's not a debate anymore.
You're right, I just wanted to explain.
So what you are saying is absolutely true. I cannot deny it. And in my opinion, they have actually gone with an exceptionally wide hull design to make sure to achieve optimal form stability. When the boat is anchored, they opted for a very wide hull and incorporated a roll bar, which leads to a center of gravity that's significantly higher than ours. The wider the boat is, the more it maintains its stability when it's anchored. We're not having center of gravity issues because, as we know, all Dufours have a very low boom, hence a significantly lower center of gravity, and with the boat constructed in a robust sandwich structure, managed to keep all the ballast weight low. Therefore, perhaps we are even arguably more consistently stable overall, especially at anchor, than they are in the face of swells during an evening with some wave activity.
Excellent! As you can see, I can definitely confirm to you he's not just a boat importer. He's someone who really knows sailing inside out and can thoroughly analyze and evaluate boats with expertise. I mean, super thoroughly, like you mentioned.
I
Yes,
told you that I was
absolutely.
completely prepared, so
I
I warned you.
understand. You're totally right about that. I believe we've also successfully covered this fifth point. I genuinely hope that this video has been of some help to you in exploring and comparing a variety of different boats. I see that he is really
I could
satisfied,
definitely
so he
stick
had a
around
good
for
time,
another hour
and
because I'm truly getting very excited. I am thrilled.
well, we are all genuinely happy, and I thank you so much for the attention you've given us. And I really hope to see you soon in the next video with SVN. Solo Vela Net.